I would very much like, on behalf of the editors, Ingo Mose, Cormac Walsh, Ellen Trell, and Francisma, and myself, to welcome you to the book launch of Crossing Borders, Blending Perspectives, Trilateral Wadden Sea Explorations. First and foremost, we would like to thank everyone, the authors in particular, for taking the time to write very informed and insightful and thought-provoking chapters. They were also very much engaged during the review and editing process, so thank you for that too. And thanks to each and every one of you who contributed to the Tri-Wad Walks project and this book publication. That is also our students and colleagues and everyone we met along the way. It's also very joyful for me to see many familiar faces and new ones too, so thank you for joining online as well. The Tri-Wad Walks and our book have received financial support from the Common Wadden Sea Secretariat, the Faculty of Social Sciences at the University of Groningen, the Wadden Academy, the Faculty of Humanities at the University of Southern Denmark, and Erasmus Mundus, the European Erasmus Mundus program. And for that, we're very thankful too. Now, the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who was very fond of walking in the 18th century, said, "To walk is to step out of the safe and familiar. It's taking the first step towards the unknown and rising above our limitations. By walking, we broaden our horizons and create space for personal growth and development." This captures the essence of our Tri-Wad Walks in many ways. First, they were initially planned as walks, and we sought also to travel by foot and bike as much as possible, but some connections had to be made via boat, bus, and train as necessary. The first Tri-Wad Walk in May 2022 took the group along the German-Dutch border region, while the second in September of 2022 crossed the Danish-German border. The total journey lasted 10 full days, and we covered 570 kilometers. Secondly, the overarching aim of our Tri-Wad Walks project was to embrace the unknown by practically and metaphorically crossing borders and blending perspectives from different scientific fields, age groups, and cultural backgrounds, and with a range of different stakeholders to better understand and also appreciate the nuances and opportunities and struggles of this multifaceted region. And thirdly, the Wadden Sea border region represents areas of continuity and discontinuity, where territorial borders have been superimposed on a common shared landscape. In each case, we were also keen to include both the mainland coast and the islands on our travels in order to provide opportunity for reflection on how the relationship between the coast and the islands have changed over time. Today, the Wadden Sea and the islands occupy a prominent position in public imagination, whether it's a holiday destination or associated perhaps with idealistic perceptions of idyllic island life, and also, of course, the UNESCO World Heritage, whereas the hinterlands often experience an increasing sense of peripherality. Moving slowly through flat but varied landscapes provided inspiration for very lively discussions during the days and the evenings. We talked about the nature of the Wadden Sea nature, the values underlying conservation, and the relationship between tourism, nature education, nature conservation, and sustainable development in the Wadden Sea. We encountered a fragile ecosystem at risk from multiple human pressures and contradictions that are inherent in human uses of the coastal landscape. Let me also point out that exploration in the title is not only meant physically, but also figuratively in the sense of intellectual exploration. Because like Kierkegaard, we set out to broaden our horizons and create space for personal growth and development. And we did this in several ways. One was to deliberately move beyond the trilateral narrative of one Wadden Sea, to explore the nuances of places and complexity of nature-culture relations at the local scale. Now, if you can see the front cover map that is featured on our book cover, maybe if you turn the slides, we will see the traditional sort of view of the Wadden Sea. It's, of course, a bird's eye view where we can not see national borders, but we can see the unity of the coastal landscape. And as with all maps, it's an abstraction. it's a simplification of reality. And I learned that by simply paying attention to nuances here on the map, we can also learn that there is no such thing as low tide across the entire Wadden region at the same time. It's a physical impossibility because low tide doesn't occur at the same time across this large geographical area. But the map that we have featured on our front page also, as the cover image, is laid out on the island of Rømø, right next to where we are in Denmark right now. And this marked the beginning of an 18-kilometer walk, and it reminded us of the wider context of our mobility, because we came by ferry from Sylt the previous night, crossing the German-Danish border. But it does not at all provide us guidance in how to navigate this complex local landscape, or to understand the socioeconomic differences, or how nature conservation in the Wadden Sea, of course, is embedded in the local societal context in Germany, in northern Friesland, and as soon as we crossed the border in southern Jutland. Our exploration also experimented with the well-known learning activity of field trips. When we usually take our students out on field trips, it's controlled by 1 or 2 teachers and a group of maybe 20, 30 students. But the number of Tri-Ward Walk students and staff was actually relatively balanced. That helped ensure that both the young and the more senior perspectives were listened to. And learning with others while crossing personal, intellectual, and physical borders while being on the move, immersed in the landscape, also cultivates certain qualities. Such human dispositions include carefulness, thoughtfulness, criticality, receptiveness, resilience, courage, and silence. This expands learning in higher education to not only being a matter of acquiring knowledge, skills, and competences, but actually to embrace life-wide learning for authentic being, fostering at the same time deeper self-awareness and reflexivity. It's a way to open up for perspectives beyond the self. It reflects an emancipatory, a critical view of higher education and research, and it is one where academic freedom encompasses the freedom of students. It's rooted in a critical examination of how and what is being taught, learned, and achieved, not by individual students only, but in collaboration with others. Our exploration and shared endeavor are reflected in the organization of the book as well. It begins with 4 chapters under the rubric of teaching and learning. It's followed by 5 research-based scientific explorations and 4 chapters providing practitioner perspectives under the heading Voices from the Region. Supplementing our publication, we've also made open access online lecture series to provide enhanced blended learning environments to help ensure that students from multiple disciplines have access to insights, perspectives, and reflection representing the multifaceted nature of the Wadden Sea region. And in addition to the recorded lectures, we've also collated a bibliography of Wadden Sea literature from the social sciences and humanities. It's focused on the work of the partner universities, and again, in order to blend perspectives, we've also included historical and literary research. So, in summary, our book is the result of the Tri-Ward Walk's origin and format, and the very rich encounters with many others in the Wadden Sea region. We intentionally set out to challenge conventional boundaries between research and teaching, between theory and practice, to encourage critical reflection, to emphasize the need for multidisciplinarity in thinking and doing that recognizes the horizontal linkages across specialist topics and geographical areas. So with that opening and framing, it is my honor to pass the book launch celebration on to Groningen.
Very good. Thank you, Janne. Ellen and I now both have a mic. Very good.
That's all right.
And Helene is also here. Helene from London.
Okay. It's working. Okay, welcome. welcome everybody here in Groningen, in the 3 Wadden countries and beyond, also on my behalf. My name is Ellen Maria Trell, and I'm an associate professor here at this university at the Faculty of Spatial Sciences. So I'm a geographer and spatial planner. I'm also a Wadden fan and a proud tri-Wad walker. Now, fieldworks are really close to my heart, and they're partly a reason why I, so back then a young bachelor student from Estonia, ended up working and living in the Netherlands and being able to present this wonderful book to you today. And my message is also connected to fieldworks. So the tri-Wad walks and this edited book could only become a reality thanks to years of collaboration as educators and looking for creative ways to bring students across different levels, disciplines, and across the 3 Wadden countries together once a year during what we called trilateral student workshops. A key part of every trilateral student workshop was a collective field visit to explore abstract theoretical issues in the real world. And our key message then for universities and for teaching and learning is as follows. Transformative, transdisciplinary and place-based learning in the field must gain a much stronger foothold in universities. Transdisciplinarity should be found beyond module descriptions and needs to be experienced and practiced beyond lecture halls. So we should all actually be out there right now, huh? Our collective experiences with the tri-Wad walks and years of organizing collaborative trilateral workshops that laid the foundations for this book have proven that spending time together in the field, discovering and interacting with a place, its people, its landscape and nature and each other beyond the confines of university campuses, universities are extremely valuable and effective for crossing disciplinary boundaries. Our physical journeys across the Wadden Sea region laid a foundation for collaborative journeys of the mind, characterized by inter- and transdisciplinary learning, some of which is captured in our book. We wish for the book and the format of the tri-Wad walks to be of inspiration, to encourage you all to venture into the field together, to sense, to experience, and carefully interact with the place. Challenge yourself to blend perspectives in order to move towards a sustainable future. Over to Frans now.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Very much well spoken. Thank you very much. So I'm happy to also say a few words on the tri-Wad walk. Like Ellen stressed, it was a long tradition to meet from the different universities every once in a while, and then we were inspired by a colleague in Switzerland, Ingo and Moos, and I to set up this thing. But I think it's also important from a perspective of the Rudolf Agricola School, who also supported this initiative, and the school that I lead, because science these days is challenged. We both internally and externally. Internally, we face 2 big problems, I think. One is that we sort of over-specialize in science, so there's a challenge of how to get back together. There's obvious value in specializing, but we also need to get together again. And in our education, it is very knowledge-oriented, but I think it's less building or Bildung, as the Germans say. It's less development-oriented than it could be, and I think that's also very important to adhere. And then externally, well, we're in the age of a lot of challenged opinion, that let's say, how do you call it, fake news and facts that don't matter and populism, and then the sort of authority or the respect for science is also, well, at risk, you could say. So science needs to find new ways of connecting scientists better, of serving the development of students better, and also to gain new ways of inclusiveness and convincingness to the outside, actually. And I will not claim that the tri-Wad walk is a solution to all these problems, but it is a very interesting initiative because the balancedness of science, of staff and students, which is, I think it's already been stressed also by Jan and also by Ellen. Also this combination of scientists out in the field, the traveling as such, that it brings new ways of exchange. So that's all very powerful, I think, and we've experienced that firsthand. And I think it's very nice now that our experiences are written down in the book, and also from different angles, from both the staff and the student and what we call the stakeholder perspective. Very nice contributions have been made, and so I think it's a very promising avenue actually for reaching new ways, finding new ways of conducting science. And I also like it that we've now have this milestone, we have the book, and this also helps our work. It can inspire fellows from Agricola, students connected to Agricola, stakeholders. We actually have a bit of a similar activity, what we call internally the outdoor hackathon, in which we connect artists and scientists and students out in the field. And that's an important thing. We will have in October a symposium on the future of education, also in the future of science and education. And I think also there it's a functional and interesting book to have. And obviously we're also very proud and pleased that we have the first book in this series. We expect to have more books which are at the edge of science, society, and education. And in the audience here, there is Pieter and Margreet from the University of Groningen Press, and perhaps we can have already a small applause for them, because they supported us very much in bringing this to life. So, very good. Good. I think, Ellen, we can now ask Helene to step up, and then together, Ellen and I will hand out the first book to Helene van Londen.
Thank you
very good.
Much. What a great honor.
I will hand you the mic. Helene is from the University of Amsterdam in the archaeology department. She's a professor there. But you're also from the Wadden Academy. You're in the director team, and you have there the theme of spatial planning, cultural heritage, and landscape. Mm-hmm. So it's very much your field, I could say. And it's also obviously nice that as an archaeologist, you're also, unlike many other scientists, you very often go out in the field, I think. So, but anyway, so here's the book, and happy to give the mic to you.
Thank you, thank you. I was wondering, listening to you, of course we are familiar with the tourist gaze, the way that we consume landscapes, right, if we're on a holiday. Is there such a thing as the scientist gaze similarly? And do you see something different when you engage in the landscape, knowing things, learning things? I think yes. And one of the things that struck me, because I quickly read your article already, because I wanted to have some background, and I came upon the conclusion that it's really about the senses. It's about hearing, watching, listening, feeling. And then you come to the core qualities of landscape, which is, say, the vastness, the open horizon, the quietness, the space, the colors, whatever. And those particular landscape qualities are written down in our policy documents, but they're not yet ready to be, used also in policy, because they're not concrete. And the thing for us to do now is to have these things that have to do with phenomenology, really, the way that we experience all those qualities, to translate that in something which is more quantitatively, and that we can put it down into some regulation, and to make it something that will last, because there are all kinds of pressures now, which already has been targeted, I think, in your project. Now we're currently working towards an overview of those criteria and the ways how to measure it and to monitor it. And I was wondering, would this help me in this endeavor? And I think yes.
Okay.
So thank you all.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, I'm very happy actually that already now, since it's not even open, but I had a sneak preview that it seems to have some impact and some knowledge, some value to you. So I'm very happy to hear that. I now look a bit around to see whether for some guidance on whether I hand over now to Oldenburg. Yeah, very good. Wilhelmshaven, sorry. Our amongst others, our colleagues from Oldenburg and Sascha Klupper and Jürgen Ramel, and they are in Wilhelmshaven. Very good. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Hello, everyone from Wilhelmshaven here at the National Park Administration. Can you all hear me okay? Hopefully the camera will find us here as well. We'll zoom in on where we are. Yeah, okay, so...
loud and clear. So,
Very good. Yeah, my name is Cormac Walsh, one of the editors of the book, and yeah, we're very happy to be here as part of the launch event. Today I came here as part of a student excursion. We were cycling along the coast with the wind and the rain, which was quite fitting because, of course, this initiative began with a field trip as well, as you've heard. So it's nice to combine that today as well. The students are not here with us. They are at the National Park Visitor Centre currently as well, also learning about the Wadden Sea. This book, it builds on a growing tradition of critical social science and humanities research at and on the Wadden Sea as a coastal landscape and ecosystem of both local and global value. The book deliberately calls attention to the need to transform and transcend borders and boundaries, to consider the relationships between the Wadden Sea itself, its coastal hinterland, and also the wider North Sea. We show how nature and society are fundamentally intertwined with the Wadden Sea, and how Wadden Sea nature can be and is understood from multiple different perspectives, drawing on both scientific and local place-based knowledge forms. In our tribeward walks, we are interested in the contradictions and tensions inherent in this landscape, a place that bears testimony to the material transformation of the land and the sea on a massive scale through dike building, land reclamation, land drainage, and at the same time, a place valued for its expansive, unique ecosystems and dynamic natural processes. In policy terms, it is evident that a closer connection between the conservation of the Wadden Sea and the socio-ecological transformation of the coastal hinterland is needed to ensure that the Wadden Sea can continue to be a vibrant, resilient living space for both people and nature, an approach exemplified by the Lower Saxony Biosphere Reserve, as well as the Danish Wadden Sea National Park. This book is the output of a trilateral initiative and has benefited hugely from the transboundary collaboration. Nevertheless, we are keen to emphasize the diversity of local, place-based perspectives as a necessary counterbalance to the trilateral focus on Wadden Sea, as mentioned already. In the place of specific policy recommendations, which we don't have in this book, that wasn't the intention, we offer a shift in perspective and an invitation to really look below the surface and to engage with the multifaceted nature of the Wadden Sea as an ecosystem, as a coastal landscape, as a living place for people as well. So with that, I will hand over to Ingo Moser, where we will then present the next two books as well here in Wilhelmshaven.
Yes, thank you, Cormac, for delivering the message from Wilhelmshaven. Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome also from my side. I'm more than delighted to be part of this event this afternoon here at the premises of the National Park Authority. A lot of things have been said already, and before handing over symbolically 2 books to people who attend here today, I'd like to say 2 more things probably in a very brief manner. Firstly, it was mentioned already that Franz and myself were inspired by someone else. Dominic Siegeres, being a geographer himself, a long-time friend of mine also, who has worked in Switzerland for a number of decades, managed to walk all across the Alps, from Vienna to Nice. That's a couple of years ago already, and obviously you can understand for sure I was more than impressed by himself doing so, and I was asking him whether it was for sportive or whether it was for scientific or other reasons, and interestingly enough, he said, well, it had a sportive component. Yes, I'm a scientist, but it was about to learn how the people receive, how people perceive, how people act, how people communicate, how people live in the Alps. And he also managed to say it is not only looking at one spot, but it is looking across the borders of the various countries that form the chain of the Alps. So he finally decided to walk all the way through Austria, Switzerland, France, Italy, finally down to the coast of the Mediterranean. As mentioned before, we were very impressed by this example and thought, why not do something similar in the Wadden? As it ended up, we did not walk the whole of the Wadden, but what we certainly copied in a way was looking across the borders and blending the perspectives of the 3 countries involved, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Germany. And likewise, it was not only about the scientific perspective, but similarly about learning how people live, how people cooperate, how people find ways to face the challenges of our time. And by doing so, we, I'm more than convinced, have awfully learned a lot more beyond the scientific scopes of our scientific work. Today, I'm delighted to hand over 2 books. I said already before, this is in a symbolic manner rather than representing the group as a whole. And I'm doing so by asking Sascha Klöpper to step in front for the first book to be handed over right now. I'd like to say a very few words to Sascha Klöpper. We meet here for the first time. There was an opportunity to meet earlier before, but we didn't manage to do so. This is the book we brought here to give to you as a present. I think everybody in the room, if not a short explanation, is aware of the fact how important the common Wadden Sea Secretariat is. You are the executive secretary of the body. It was installed in the late 1980s as an agency to foster and support cooperation across the border of the 3 countries who share the Wadden Sea. And during our walk, I'm sure that everybody would agree, across those borders, we the walkers recognize how important it is to think of the Wadden as a unity, as an entity beyond the borders, across the borders, because there are common challenges we are facing and common opportunities that need to be addressed. In that sense, I think it's very valuable that you have taken your time to come here. And also another opportunity, it was mentioned briefly, to say thank you once more for the generous financial support that the Common Wadden Sea Secretary provided for our work. Thank you very much, Sascha.
Thank you, Ingo, and thank you, Cormac. I thought I'd bring the warm words, but this is very nice. Welcome, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great pleasure being here this afternoon, and I try to not to be repetitive on the contributions today, but I have the advantage I'm not representing a single region. I'm representing the trilateral cooperation, so in the professional sense, I'm not even German, although we are based here. We would like to congratulate the editors, the authors, and also a warm hello to Denmark and the Netherlands. Hello to Jan and Franz and company. We want to congratulate you on your initiative, on your great work, and on this book. We are extremely pleased that we had the opportunity as a trilateral cooperation to support this initiative within the framework of the Forward Link project and being a tiny part of it. And we consider this as a really great initiative with covering many wonderful aspects. And what can be nicer in terms of a Wadden Sea cooperation as a mud flag walk, an initiative by people, an activity first and then doing the book, and not talking about strategies, documents all the time. So this is the real stuff, getting dirty feet. So this is very much welcomed, and we are really happy to be here today and to be part of all these initiatives. We had an article in our 22 annual report on the first walk, and it seems to be mainly written by participants of that walk, the younger generation, as far as I understood. And this was quite a nice read to learning from their perspectives, especially mentioning the generation aspects, the view on the Wadden Sea and from different angles, and also the need to see the Wadden Sea as an entity, not only ecologically as we do in the cooperation, but also societally and governmentally, potentially having this as a governmental unit. So I thought this were very inspiring contributions, and it was a joy to read again. So thank you very much for this milestone indeed. And also congratulations for this excellent communication during the initiative and also with issuing this book and making this event. It's very special and we very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As mentioned earlier before, there's a second person I'd like to hand over a book in this symbolic manner. I'm sure that almost everybody, at least here, but maybe also in the Netherlands and Denmark, will know Jürgen Ramel. If not, I may allow myself to say very few words on behalf of your person and then hand over the second book. Jürgen has been occupied by the National Park Authority for many, many years, actually being the head of department for the Biosphere Reserve that exists parallel to the National Park and the World Heritage in this area. We chose Jürgen to hand over this book for a number of reasons, but I'd like to point out that when walking the Wadden Sea across the borders, and I think that's probably something everybody will agree, we were overwhelmed by the beauty of the nature. There was so much to see, thousands of birds, the waters coming in and out, the tides, so much of nature. But it was not only nature. Yes, there is the National Park, and this is the National Parks Authority's premises, but there was something beyond. We've been talking about the people and their perceptions, challenges they are facing, problems that occur, and ways they find to solve these problems. There's another format that has gained more and more recognition over the last years, and that is the Biosphere Reserve. Actually, I should say the Biosphere Region. And Jürgen, you stand for this format, you stand for this tool, you stand for this model that has emerged and will develop over time, I think, to support those initiatives on the ground to greater extent. It was also this format of the Biosphere Reserve, or rather the Biosphere Region, how we came closer together and learned from each other. And finally, also my working group was happy enough to make a short and small contribution to get this new Biosphere Region started. Therefore, it is more than a pleasure to have you here today again, although you are retired in the meantime and taking a long way to come to Wilhelmshaven again. Thank you very much for coming, Jürgen. It's a pleasure to see you again here. And this is the second book then for you.
Yeah, thank you, Ingo. And yes, I think I can't say much about the book because I don't know the content yet. But as far as I understood, it's much like the Biosphere Reserve. It will deliver basis for the Biosphere Reserve. And it is also taking the ideas of the title of the book, because it's crossing borders. The Biosphere Reserve here in Lower Saxony is crossing, I think, the most robust border we have in the Wadden Sea. It's crossing the dike. And this will cause many ideas, much work to connect the hinterland, like Omid said, and the Wadden Sea itself. And we have lots of work and many things to do to achieve this work, to take away this concrete border and the border in the mind of people, which separates the concrete Wadden Sea from the mainland, from the hinterland. And I think biosphere reserve its real task is also blending perspectives. It's bringing together science and research, it's bringing together education and development with the task of a sustainable development in the places where people live. And now we have achieved a large area with the Wadden Sea, with the biosphere region, where we can bring our model projects for sustainable development. I think so. We have large similarities between the book and the biosphere reserve. And I think and I hope that we in future will also not have the knowledge which has come from the project, but it will also result in practical effects for the region, for the sustainable development of the region. So thank you for the project and good luck with the work.
Thank you. So I think, as far as I'm aware, this is probably all from Wilhelmshaven. For now, we have handed over the two books, but I wouldn't like to pass on to Denmark before saying one more word. We are talking and we are delivering messages from Wilhelmshaven, from the National Park Authority of the Wadden Sea of Lower Saxony, and we owe many things also to one more person at least, and this is Astrid Martin, who has offered us to gather in this room here. I thought, and we thought, Cormac and myself and all the others involved, it needed to be a room by the sea, by the Wadden Sea, and those who cannot see it, but here from this room, there is a view out there to the waters, and believe me or not, it is the North Sea, and there is also the smell of the sea, and if you have imagination enough, you can hear the doves and the birds cry. So thank you for listening to Wilhelmshaven, and I happily hand over now to Denmark again.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you. My name is Yannick. I'm the owner of Claire, which is one of the locations that tri-ward walkers visited during their first walk, I believe. And beyond that, I've also had the pleasure to write one of the chapters in the book, chapter 13. It's a very good one, so check it out. Thank you very much. So it is a real pleasure to be here today and to have the honor of handing over the book, and with it also a vision, an ambition, and a hope to the Wadden Sea National Park. But firstly, I would actually like to thank you, Janne, for your continuous support, inspiring during this entire process, and for constantly pushing me to go the extra mile. Without you, I would definitely not be standing here today. But my contribution to the book is a chapter about regenerative tourism development here in the National Park, and it takes its starting point here at Clare, a place rooted in the rhythms of the marsh where nature, culture, and people exist together. But in truth, the chapter is about something bigger, a way of thinking about tourism where we don't just aim to protect what we have, but actively seek to restore, strengthen, and to give back. Regenerative tourism is about making sure that tourism gives more than it takes, that guests don't only experience the beauty of a destination, but also become part of the story that nourishes the landscape, the community, and the balance of nature. The work already being done in the Wadden Sea National Park is, in my view, a great example of this mindset in action. And one of our great strengths is the way we collaborate across places and professions, with long-term thinking, care, and purpose at the center. And actually, my own journey began with a conversation I had with Peter and Bettina from the National Park Secretariat here in Denmark. That conversation planted the seed that firstly became my master thesis, which in turn became the chapter in this book. So in many ways, the book comes full circle today when I hand the book to Peter. I hope my small contribution to the book can help to inspire, and that together we can keep building a national park and form tourism that grows in value, not only in economic terms, but also in human and ecological ones. So thank you for the commitment, Peter and the National Park, and for the collaboration, and also for accepting this book today, which I believe you should have now. Yes. I will also hand the mic to you now, Peter. Can I put it on?
Yeah, put it on, please.
All right. There we go. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Yannick. Thank you, Jan, and thank you all for the invitation. And most of all, thank you for your investment in time, resources, and for being curious, investigating more about our mutual trilateral Wadden Sea. And should I also say thank you for still being professional about knowledge and for being curious in the right way in a time where social media is the social truth. I would like you to keep up the good work. And on behalf of the National Park, I would say thank you and hope we can do it again.
Thanks very much. I now have the pleasure of handing over first a copy of the book to the Dean at the Faculty of Humanities, Simon Torp. So while we've talked a lot about how this book is a mix of disciplines and particularly the humanities and social sciences, I think we have demonstrated the importance of humanities and how collaboration, not just cooperation, is important in order to generate something that none of us could do alone. So while we have this session here today and the headline says practices, your practice is the university. So Simon, I hope that you will notice how little funding, very little funding actually is needed in the humanities to produce something that can make a societal impact. So thank you for your financial support and being present here today. So without further ado, this is for you.
Thank you so much, Jan.
Ja, det må du godt.
Ja, det bestemmer.
Thank you so much, Janne. This is almost like being part of the Eurovision. So first, I'd like to give you all 12 points. It has been an honor to co-sponsor this important and inspiring multi- and transdisciplinary project about the Wadden Sea region. At the University of Southern Denmark, we are deeply committed to contributing to a sustainable future. So when I received the application for funding, there was no doubt in my mind we should support this initiative. Because it's not only the Wadden Sea that crosses borders. This project has, in a truly innovative way, crossed and transcended traditional boundaries between Germany, the Netherlands, and Denmark, between practitioners, researchers, and students, between 6 different universities, between scientific disciplines and research fields, and between sectors across society. I'm particularly pleased that the humanities and Janne Leibert and her colleagues have been an integral part of this work. As someone who comes from the humanities myself, I want to stress this very clearly. If we are to succeed, we cannot do it without including the human and humanistic dimensions. The humanities and humanistic research and perspectives are not just nice to have, they are need to have. They are not just icing on the cake. They are part of the foundation of the cake itself. Just like the social sciences, the natural sciences, the technical sciences, and so on and so forth. If we want to develop a truly sustainable future for the Wadden Sea's nature and culture, and for society as a whole, we must collaborate. Because this is not the responsibility of one country, or one discipline, or one group. It is a shared responsibility. and we cannot meet it alone. Congratulations on the book, and congratulations on everything you've accomplished through this inspiring collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this tour across the 3 Wadden Sea countries. I hope that it's given you an impression of how this particular exploration by foot through a unique coastal landscape by an international and interdisciplinary group of people have done something that is not sort of business as usual. And we've done so by crossing those borders, as we've spoken about, but also, again, with encountering different practitioners and stakeholder communities along the way. I want to end, before we move on to our big celebration, to remind you that our book actually sets out to ambitiously contribute to a more integrative and place-based understanding of the Wadden Sea region and its connection to the World Heritage Site. We want you to remember that crossing borders and experimentation actually holds the potential to unlock or dismantle current lock-ins, to critically engage with the complex problems of the 21st century, and thus help redefine and refine the responsibilities involved in shaping desirable and peaceful futures. Now it is time to walk on, and we are almost about to end our joint session by, of course, inviting you to read the book, which we trust you'll find both enjoyable and inspirational. We hope that it will motivate you to take a walk at the Wadden, to explore its complex wonders and actively contribute to the well-being of the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the Wadden Sea for not only our present but also future generations. Now it is time for unboxing, so we need a joint countdown. Så kommer her, så kan I åbne samtidig også. All right, we're getting ready to raise a toast soon in Denmark as well. And the countdown has started. 3, 2, 1, and you may open your presents. Skal vi starte med at tage her, Janne? Har du nogen uden alkohol også? Det er den, din
Yes.
Peter.
Groningen here, I just heard that, so Helene opened it, but I just heard that it's also now online available, right? So that's also good to know. So as 1 hour ago, you put it open. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. So please help yourself to a glass, and I hope that's the same in Wilhelmshaven and Groningen as well.
Thank you, Janne.
Man kan ikke rigtig se dem, men de er derinde.
De er der.
Over lidt kan man se dem.
Ja. Ja.
En flot bog. Nu bare en smuk. Jeg vil godt mærke til det her musik. Det er godt for mig.
Cheers! Skål, everyone!
Congratulations.
Tak. Tak. Ja. Enjoy your offline celebrations too.